Have you found yourself at a crossroads in your life when you can't continue on the way you've been living your life anymore? There's a certain kind of misery or a certain kind of emptiness or a certain kind of loneliness that you just don't want to experience anymore. And you're finally in these moments of dissatisfaction, in kind of misery that you say, you know, I want something better for myself. I'm something's missing, that there must be something that I'm doing that's causing me to feel bad like this. And that you're opening up, you're looking around, you're open to learning about what might be causing this misery, this emptiness, this loneliness, or whatever it is that you want to call it, this dissatisfaction in life. And it's really a profound inquiry, because what there is to say is that it's part of being human. It's part of the human phenomenon. I mean, right? We're kind of set up by our environment when we're growing up and what we're born into as to what we're supposed to be doing with our life, or how we're supposed to be, or maybe we're left on our own and we have to kind of figure it out on ourselves by ourselves, or the environment we were raised in, we don't want to be like that. And I think that leads to like an automatic way of kind of becoming. We're trying to do the right things, we're trying to do what our family says or what society says, or in some kind of internal nudgings. And sometimes, most of the time, most of that, the reasons that we're doing these things might not be the right reasons, because there's not many people around that are showing humans how to have an authentic life, how to do a check-in, how to, most of the people in our lives are just kind of doing what society has told them to do. And some people are really lucky in this, that they actually do things, they choose things to become, or choose things to do, or choose people that to be in relationships with, or to that they really like, that they really enjoy. And there are a lot of happy people that maybe had good parenting or good mentorship. Really, when they were young, they knew what they wanted to be, and they were actually able to go and do those things, and they live a really happy life. And I think that's, you know, I think anyone would agree that that's fabulous. And we need to, look around for those people and see how it is that they chose, made the choices that they chose in their life. And there's a lot of people that actually don't have this experience. Maybe they were told who to become, or told who to marry, or told what to do with their time, or told what to believe in. And as life goes on, as life progresses, as life's experiences happen, they have a certain element of dissatisfaction, or if you're unlucky enough to be doing things for all the wrong reasons, and you have no idea, who you are, and you have abandoned yourself for the approval of others, for the hopes that other people would do for you what you're doing for them. And you've kind of come to a crossroads. You've come to a point in your life where you've said, I just can't do this anymore. Something's not right. I don't like myself. There's something missing in my life. I'm not doing things for all the right reasons. And, maybe you've experienced a crisis, a divorce, a health issue, a loss of a job, or financial stresses. Something's happened to somebody in your life, and, it's helped you to kind of wake up, to kind of snap out of the automation that you've had your whole life on the choices that you've made. And you say, who am I? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Or what's happened? Or where do I go from here? It's kind of like you're at the crossroads of a new beginning. And maybe you don't want to do what you've done in the past. Maybe you don't want to choose, make the same choices that you've made in the past. And you're starting to ask all the right questions, which is, who am I? Why am I so unhappy? Why am I so upset all the time? Why am I doing the things that I do that cause my suffering? So those are all good questions, because maybe you're at the point where you say, I'm so anxious. How do I relax? I mean, you could just be at that point, which is, why am I worrying all the time? It doesn't seem to make a difference. How do I relax? How do I calm down? How do I, what is that? How do I, what's missing? And so it's kind of a soul's journey when we start opening to learning and taking a deep dive on the inside. And so part of that starts with not being in survival anymore. And that takes courage. It takes something to stop and to say, who am I? Why am I so unhappy? What's missing? And so the first place to start is to connect your breath to your heart, because that's going to calm down your brain. That's called heart-brain coherence. Let's just do that for a second. Just bring your attention down into your heart, and you can even tilt your head down a little. Your eyes look down to your heart area, or close your eyes and bring your attention to your heart. And just take a breath down there. Just bring your attention down into your heart. Bring your breath into your heart. And bring your attention there. And take another breath down into your heart. And notice kind of what's happening in your brain is that it just kind of calms down. So you can do this whenever you want. So it breaks this churning and worry and trying to figure things out, is to get this heart-brain coherence. Okay? And it really is that easy. And so when you've done this and you have some calm, you're more present, you may find that when you start being with yourself in these relaxed states, and you're checking in with yourself, that maybe something's going on. Maybe you have some sadness. And the truth is, just sadness just comes up, and then if you feel it, it goes away. It just resolves itself. And then you become calmer. And your sadness doesn't mean anything. It's an emotion. It's a stress response. And maybe something has happened. Maybe you need to write about it, or you need to talk to somebody about it that cares about you. But really, most important is that you listen to yourself. You be with yourself in these moments, you choose you. You become interested in yourself, and you become open to what you're feeling. You become open to learning about what you're doing that's causing your misery, that's causing your loneliness, that's causing you to be upset or causing you to be anxious. Because believe me, it is something that you're doing. And it usually always leads back to abandoning yourself, doing something that you shouldn't be doing for somebody else's love or somebody else's approval, or just to be needed, to try to feel like you belong by being needed, or you're acting like you're happy on the outside, or that your life is perfect on the outside, or that all the things you have define who you are. And even though things on the outside are great, it can, if you're not connected to yourself, if you're not learning to live an authentic life, that that does come, living an inauthentic life does come with misery. It does come with emptiness. It does come with unhappiness. And really, what brings happiness, it's an inside job. It comes from self-discovery. It comes from knowing who you are. It comes from what's most important to you. It comes from what things are important to you. It comes from what's important to you. And you don't get that from the outside. It comes from, most people aren't interested in themselves. They're interested in what people think about them. They're interested in trying to gather things that they think's going to make them happy because that's what we see on television. But really what makes you happy is for you to be interested in yourself, for you to choose yourself, for you to put yourself first. And I'm talking in a loving way, not in a selfish way by taking from others and expecting others to do for you what you should be doing for yourself. That's selfishness, for being mad at people not making you happy or people not giving themselves up for you. That's selfishness and self-centeredness. And no, that just leads to unhappiness for everyone. But when you choose yourself, like, who am I? What's most important to me? What things bring me joy? What do I like? Meaning, when you go out into nature, like, nature is a great example of being present. It's not upset. It's just being who it is. It's being its authentic self. It's not worrying. It's just doing what it does. And if you look, you'll see in nature all the harmony with all the things around it that aren't the same as it. So part of this harmony that we create within ourselves allows us to be out in the world with people, places, and things that aren't like us. Because when you take the journey of becoming whole, when you take the journey of discovering your true authentic self, when you tap into the essence of who you are, into your gifts, these gifts that are innate to you, that are a part of who you are, that just need to be discovered and nurtured and captured and owned by you, that something happens to us. Something happens when we develop and choose our unique self with this deep dive into, who am I? What fills me up? What brings me joy? And I'm not talking about what you do for a living. I'm talking about your presence, your essence, who you are in the moment for yourself, for others. Are you a person that creates beautiful things? Like you're a creative person and that brings you joy just to be flowing in life? Or do you really good at solving problems? And that's how you care for others. Do you like nurturing others by healing others and being affectionate and nurturing just as a whole as a person? That there's these things about us. And when we start finding these things and we start choosing these things and we start accepting ourselves for who we really are and we own it, that something happens, something blossoms inside of us that no one can take away, that it starts filling up and it gives us a shine, it gives us wholeness, it gives us joy, it gives us purpose for ourselves and for those that we love. And when we start filling up our cup and filling it up and filling it up, it makes us whole. There's calm in this. And then we surround ourselves with people who are kind of doing the same things. They're learning about their authentic self, want to share with you what they're discovering about themselves. They want you to share what's unique about you and what you're discovering about yourself. And that there's nothing there but joy that you've uncovered some part of yourself that's unique to you. And so when we are doing this, we have something to share. We have joy to share. We have happiness to share. We have wholeness to share. And we start sharing what's spilling over, in a loving way, in a joyous way, in a present way. And, there's so many different ways that people express their wholeness when they're true to themselves, when they choose themselves. You can see it in music, you can see it in sports, you can see it in art, you can see it even in nature. And when this happens to you, you're going to be shining, you're going to be whole. And the key to sustaining this is you stay true to yourself. You don't give it away. You don't give yourself away. You choose to love you first. You don't give away yourself. You don't give away this hard work. You embrace it. You know that you've spent the time and you've worked for it and that it belongs to you. And when you express yourself out into the world, however you do it because you know it's you. You don't do it for people to like or dislike. It's not about any of that. You like it. And so you don't hang out with people who don't like it. You hang out with people who like it too or support it. You know what I mean? Support your uniqueness. And so what I say is that there's something so powerful in that. And when you spend the time with you and you accept you and you choose these things in yourself, you blossom. And in this blossoming, you have something that belongs to you. Nobody can take it from you. You can walk with your head up and know that you know what belongs to you. You know who you are. You know your goodness, your wholeness. And you don't ever have to give that up again. You don't ever have to squander yourself around people that aren't interested in you. So for today, I say, choose you. I've enjoyed our time together today, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next video. So until then, take good care.